All right, hello. Let's see here. As normal, before I get started, I want to make sure that everyone can hear me. So if you're on right now and you can hear me, just let me know. I'll check over here just to be sure. Write it in the chat just so we can keep track of everything. So just before I get started, if you can hear me, just put it in the comment section so I make sure I'm not talking to myself. Okay, perfect. Hello, hello, good afternoon. Hello. All right. So before we get into things, how is everyone feeling about this, about all this red? I'll say a sea of red. I can't say it's a Dogecoin dip because it's not exclusive to Dogecoin. But how do you feel about this sea of red that we're seeing across the crypto market? Stock market too, but we're going to focus on crypto today. So how are you guys feeling? Feeling scary? Bought some dip a day early. Yeah, look, as long as you are increasing your coin count, especially if you're long term and you're bringing down your DCA, you're making all the right moves as far as for increasing your overall position and your exposure and increasing your coin count. You aged what did you say? Aged 30 years in minutes? Feeling confident. Yeah, I mean, you should be confident. Like I don't want anyone, whether that's Doge or any crypto or any stock, I don't want anyone to invest in something they don't have conviction in, right? So at that point, that just means that you're pretty much following the crowd, or you're just really gambling. So I want everyone to be confident in their positions and have conviction. Staying at the 16-cent floor. Hopefully, history repeats itself and we get back to that 35 cents quickly. Yep, I have a few points that I want to make today, and then we're going to speak on the catalyst here, and I'll do some TA. But before I do the TA and give out all the numbers, especially those of you who are just tuning in, I want to just focus on the psychological part of this, and when we see these patterns in the stock market and the crypto market, and when they sell off. And I don't want anyone that watches my channel, especially if you have conviction now, to be swayed by these kinds of sell-offs. A lot of new people, they're typically over leveraged themselves or put themselves in positions where they will need the cash relatively soon. And this is plays directly into the scenarios where people say, oh my God, I would have, if I'd have got Dogecoin at 0.000, or if I'd have got Bitcoin at, 10 cents or whatever, I would have held and I would have been rich. So and those coins, they did, pretty much went sideways for years and they would lose, 50 to 80% historically. So when people say those types of things and then a coin goes from like 21 cents to 16 cents and they lose their minds, it's like, okay, you wouldn't have held. And you're going to have to, as investors, you're going to have to build up the stomach for this, right? And this is going to pretty much separate the gamblers from their investors. So I hope that the lessons, a lot of things that everyone, the community has experienced this year, I hope that it sharpens you and encourages you on your investing journey. Because I think that if you um, take heed to a lot of the lessons and the markets and learn the charts, and yes, there is some manipulation. I saw the the comment there. We're going to talk about that. I'm going to show you some of the patterns here, but because I believe it's always manipulation to some degree. we've seen blatant, and I believe we've seen more of it this year, but I believe that it's always some manipulation to a degree. But if you know the algorithms and you stay the course and you know how to hold and you put yourself in position to win by averaging down when they take profits and stuff like that, more than likely you will have a success ratio that will put you in the green over time, and you won't have these losses stacking up after each play you go into. And that's really the purpose of my channel. I just want to relay that information and empower everyone. So let's look at, so before I get into TA, I want to show you something here, and I want you guys to take a look at Dogecoin, and you see the sharp drop, and then you'll see a rebound pretty much off of a, let's see, let me switch screens here. You'll see a rebound here off of around 13 cents. So we stayed there probably like a few seconds, like a flash crash. Then of course we have the rebound, and then we're pretty much trending sideways now. And I'm never going to not say this, because it's fundamental that we compare and look at the markets so that we know exactly what we're up against. This is Bitcoin. Pretty much the exact same pattern, right? The flash crash, the rebound, and we're trending sideways, right? When we see things like this, I want to just kind of go over this and let everyone know that this happens when you're going on in a bear market and in a bull market. The crypto market typically goes red together. And when we have these patterns, because when I specifically, I say keep your eyes on the top 10, and I say that, okay, most of the top 10, even though we take credit and say the market's expanding, and yes, this is the highest amount of retail investors the market has ever seen, but the majority of that money is not retail money, right? So when we see these things, before we start seeing something like, oh, a coin is dead or the movement is dead, we have to look overall around and see what's going on, right? So the retailers did not get together. There's no, as far as I know of, maybe there is, maybe there's a group chat with most of the crypto investors on it, and they all got together last night and said that, we're going to take out a few $1 billion from all the cryptocurrencies, the top 10 specifically. We're going to do it at the same time, and it creates an identical pattern across the board. But we know that's not the case, and we know that this is institutional money. And I think that before people start panicking and saying that something is dead, we have to understand why it's going down. Who moved the money, right? Those are the questions you need to ask yourself. Is this retail moving the money, or is this institutions moving the money? Now, if Bitcoin is $100,000 and Doge goes to 6 cents, yeah, by all means, that's panic. You should panic at that point. But when you can draw a line and pretty much put the same chart of like a Bitcoin, Ethereum, a Dogecoin, you can pretty much put them on top of each other, and they look like, it's identical, everything's lining up, who moved the money. And I think that's you're gonna have to understand that before you start spreading panic and saying that, okay, things are out of control or something is dead. And tax time, absolutely, that's another catalyst for this year. We've had a record year in crypto. Not only have we had a record year in crypto, we've also had the shortest bear market in history, right? And partially, I believe that is because we've seen a record amount of retailers coming into the market. So we were the anomaly, and we did push a unexpected amount of money into the market, but not enough that you're going to take control of the market from the hedge funds, right? Or from the institutions. So when these institutions come up and they say, okay, look, we've made far more money. Don't get me wrong. Because of retailers coming into the market this year, they did not expect this. It was not planned for. It was not expected. They've made more money this year than they could have anticipated, right? And so as of now, when you're getting ready to close out those books for the year, we have to understand, okay, we blew our projections out of the water, right? And they're saying, okay, what are we going to take profits on? What are we going to pay taxes on? Are we going to do this? Are we going to gear up for next year? Are we going to take this and balance the books? You can say institutions with some of the squeeze plays are taking profits. I believe all that can be going on simultaneously, but you have to understand that this isn't institutional This isn't retail money that's moving the markets like this. So as investors, as retailers, the best thing we can do if we have conviction on these plays is to hold and empower your position through dollar cost averaging if you're able to. So if your DCA is in the 20s, 30s, this is ideal. If you can look at the history of the charts here, let me go back to Dogecoin here. If you look at the history of the charts, you'll see that we don't spend much time in this range. This is where we are. And technically speaking, we have not broken formation. Even with this, sell-off, correction, whatever you want to call it, we have not broken formation. We've touched these points before. We typically get a rally up into like the low 30s range. We still have not broken formation yet. So I don't understand where the panic is coming from. I see a lot of the news and the forums, and I get some of the emails of people panicking. Dogecoin has done nothing to break the pattern that it has shown over time. So as of right now, you can still say, okay, I expect us to rally from this point and go into the 30s like the previous times before. But just in case, I'm going to give you the price points of Dogecoin if it were to continue downward, because I want everyone to be prepared. So I covered this a little bit last night if you weren't on that live. So I'm going to do it today because I believe knowing your numbers is a fundamental part of investing. So if you look at the chart here, we're roughly at around, let's see, was this like 17, 18 cents right now, right? So we have, historically speaking, when you say the crypto range is going to correct 50 to 80%, most of the time, the extreme is going to be 90. That will put our next floor of resistance not at 16. Well, we have some at 16, but the next floor of resistance after 16 would be 12 cents, right? And after that 12 cents mark, you'll see we had this gap up, which means the gap up pretty much means there's no support in this range. In order to catch this falling, we would have to have overwhelming demand from the retailers saying that this is undervalued. That's how you're going to catch, when you see a gap up like that, that's how you're going to put resistance on something that's falling and slow it down or get it going the other way. So if we break through the 16, we'll pretty much have like a pause around the 12 cents. If we break through that floor, you can expect the next resistance to be at around 5 or 6 cents. And that's where I entered. I entered down here. I got some at 2, but most of my DCA is around 5 cents. And this was on like January 28th of this year. Those are the numbers that you can expect going forward if we were to continue downward. If we get the break and we rally like we normally do, we're going to go up and test that low 30s range and see if we can break through there. And if you guys remember, like a few weeks ago, I was saying that that's kind of what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping to go up and test that lower 30s range so that we can pretty much position ourselves to repeat the mirror project that we had this past year. Now, I know the catalysts are different, but I would like for us to test that again before the year's out to see where we're going to stand for next year. I know we have a lot of catalysts coming out next year. I don't believe they're all coming out in the first quarter like this previous year, but nonetheless, we have a lot of catalysts coming up this year to push Dogecoin forward. So, okay, good to know. 16, 13, 5. Yeah, you can certainly run your numbers like that. Absolutely. Yeah, it's all in the charts. It's all in the charts. And I think that what I wanted to, another point I wanted to make was when it comes down to knowing your numbers and putting and acting on them, it empowers you to pretty much learn how to invest or increase your investing technicals, because a lot of people, they'll say, okay, I'm invested in a coin or a stock. And really what they want is to put $500 in there and it goes up 500% within the next week. And, it's possible it's happened this year. So you can't say it's unlikely, but I think that where we're going to be stronger together as a community is when we learn how to adapt to the market, because a lot of these plays, especially since the institutions and hedge funds know how involved we are now, a lot of these plays, they're going to break patterns. We've seen this a lot with stocks like AMC and some of the other plays this year. You'll see the patterns playing out, which is it's pretty much algorithmic trading. Even the correction that we're seeing here and the reason that they line up, this is all a predetermined path. But you'll see them purposely break formation to throw you off. So you'll have something look like a bear trap, and then it'll continue downward, or a bull trap, and it continues upward. Like, you'll see them purposely break formation. So know the patterns; they're still useful as for now, but do your technicals and understand the difference between investing and gambling. Let's see. Do I think we might test the 12 cents or the 5 cents? I can't say we can't. I think that depending on like the catalyst, because I'm still doing research to kind of see if this is just institutions taking profit, or if they're going to try and pump fear out for the rest of the year. Because technically now what you'll see is, because I made a video about the shorts, and the shorts on Dogecoin were rising, and we're having all-time highs as far as for shorts, and now we're trending downward again. So, people are making a fortune right now. And so I can't say that it won't continue downward. I'm looking at the catalyst here, seeing if they're pushing information out. Like, once I start seeing here's 5 reasons to sell your Dogecoin, or Dogecoin's finished, why everybody, and look at this hot new coin, then I'll know that, okay, this is part of the marketing campaign. They want to get it lower. If we test the 12 cents, that is more so the historic range where people say that this is so cheap, if I'm going to make a fortune with this, and they feel comfortable buying in. As far as for the entry points of people who have DCAs like myself, we're at around 5 cents. So that's pretty much where we can start buying without affecting our DCA. So it kind of gives like an inkling saying that, okay, well, people will possibly reinvest in this area. I mean, around this range. But as I said, when we see a gap up like this, even though the 12 cent range is somewhere in here, like 12 cents is right here. So even between where we are now and 12 cents, excuse me, where is it? Right here, 12 cents, that's still a gap. But if you look here, it's a straight line, right? There's no support there, 0. So, can we break the 16 and just go into a free fall down to 5 or 6? That's possible. But what I'm saying is, historically, when we get around those numbers, especially around 90% from the all-time high, investors, they'll typically come in and say that, okay, this is oversold. Because what panic is, you have something that's, could be overvalued, oversold, undervalued, undersold, stuff like that. People use them interchangeably. But what can happen is, well, you'll see something that will say, okay, this was worth 72 cents. And as an investor, even if you hate Dogecoin, people love making money. So you'll say that at this point, is it logical that Dogecoin is 10 cents right now? Is that the true value of it? Or is the panic causing this to be oversold, and we've pretty much overshot our equilibrium? And then they'll go back and start doing the opposite. They'll say that historically, where does Doge like to sit, right? And you'll see that historically we have, this is around that 25 cents floor. So for this year, you can do like your moving averages, the 21-day moving averages, 72 days, stuff like that. And you'll say that, okay, well, it likes to sit in the mid-20s range. Why is it 10 cents right now? So we'll say that at this point, this is fear driving the market. It's oversold. So at that point, you'll say, okay, so from 10 to 25, what is that? Like 150 cents, 150% potential for gain. And that's without a moonshot, right? You're not hoping for it to go to $1. You don't care. You're like, okay, if I put, 100 grand in here, can I make 150% of my money if Dogecoin returns to its equilibrium? That's what you're hoping for. So that is where we'll start to get resistance the further it goes down. Yes, the floor in itself, as far as for people like myself, we're at around 5 cents. But people, when you start getting there, people go back and reverse engineer the chart and say that, okay, at this point, we're below the equilibrium where Doge likes to sit. So at this point, it just kind of becomes easy money, and you'll have investors, institutions that will buy back in as well, of course. But you have investors feel more comfortable coming in and placing their bets that it's going to return to its equilibrium. So sorry, David. I know that was a really long answer, but I hope that made sense. I'm sorry it was a little long, but I hope that made sense. Let's see. Last month I mentioned it would go back to 15, and I definitely bought back in. It will go back to 13 before December's out. Yeah, we'll have and back up to 30 by February. Yeah, historically, yeah, those are the ranges. We'll get that nice run. So we'll get that run back up to like around the high 20s and 30s, and then we consolidate back around the 25 cents until we get that catalyst that's going to break us through that resistance point in the low 30s. Not new, but be greedy when everyone is fearful. Facts. I'm going to highlight this. This is facts. Those are the only two factors that drive a market, fear and greed. Always be on the other side of the boat. And as new investors, I think this plays a big part because people need to be excited about buying when the market is correcting or is crashing and we see a sea of red. I know that the news and everything and the allure of a bull run and the fact that, yeah, if you invest in it now, you can make 1,000% by tomorrow, but that is gambling, and you're more than likely going to get yourself handed to you if you chase bull runs, and then you're going to be in a position where you're going to have to average down greatly because you're so far out of whack unless you wait until the next cycle. Hope it goes to 5 cents so we can buy more. I had those for 8 months, still haven't got my money back, still in the negative. What's your DCA, Mr. 704? Let's see. What if it's a bear market? I haven't gotten any confirmation that this is going to be like one of the crypto winners. It could be, but I just think that as far as like with the timing and stuff like that, they are pretty much raising money, and I think that retail kind of changed the narrative because we're supposed to technically, I believe we're supposed to have a bear market in around May of this year. But retail was just relentless as far as for buying in and pushing these coins and like Bitcoins and stuff like that. So even though I believe that institutions control the market, I think that because they know how aggressive retail came out, it kind of forced them to buy back in sooner than they would have wanted. Yes, they made an absolute fortune because we had the shortest bear market in history and we immediately started going and hitting new all-time highs. But I think that if we were to stay at these prices or consolidate even lower, I think that with the amount of retailers interested in investing right now, it would only strengthen the retail position in a lot of these coins. And I don't believe the institutions want that. Remember, this year, we had the highest amount of retailers come into the market, the highest amount of retail money come into the market. Robinhood earlier this year was the #1 app on the store. All like not just like a finance app and not just in a particular segment. It was #1 overall. It was the #1 downloaded app, higher than Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, all that kind of good stuff. Robinhood was #1. And when you have that amount of retailers rushing into a market, they're not going to allow this to consolidate much lower or longer, in my opinion, because retailers, they're going to be smart and be like, okay, look, Bitcoin is 80% off, 90% off. Ethereum's 80%, 90% off. All my coins that I want to invest in are 80 to 90% off. We missed the boat last time, but we're not going to do it again this time. I'm going to buy this and I'm going to hold for 2 years if I have to, because I know that we're going to see these numbers again. And for those of you that I haven't shown this to, this aligns with the power of having conviction and holding. I've shown this. This is Bitcoin here. And I like doing this because it puts things into perspective. This is December 2017. You'll see Bitcoin came up and pretty much kissed the $20,000 mark. And it consolidated for years. And you pretty much bottomed out here at around $3,000, right? From $19,000 to $3,000. And I know for a fact, everybody's saying that hold, and if they could have got Bitcoin at this price, they would have held. That is not the case. I know for a fact that most people cannot stomach this kind of loss for this long. I can see it in the sentiment going around Dogecoin and people saying that it's dead and all this kind of stuff like that. You cannot, people don't have this, most people don't have the stomach to hold a position in the red for that long, because you did not see that if you would have bought right here, you'd have been in the red for about 3 years. You didn't get in the green until 2020. That was the next time you saw, that was the next time you broke even, right? And I think that as for investors, we have to kind of have conviction in that and be willing to hold and increase our positions. But I think that a lot of people see these charts and they kind of learn their lesson. So I think that that's why we're not going to have long periods that are going to be in the red, so that they'll pretty much be allowing retailers to increase their position in these coins, and they don't want that. Let's see. So I'm scrolling up so I can take some more questions here. You want to buy when the whales are buying? Yeah, buy before. I should have pulled my chart up, but I created something called the wealth flow chart, and I go over the cycles. If you go to my page, it'll be the video that automatically plays. It's called We Need to Talk. And I go over the cycles as far as for money moving in and out of the markets. And maybe I'll do a recap on that because I think it's important. This is the time you want to be coming in when you see markets, when you see institutions pulling money out in large quantities. This is how you get in, because pretty much you can ride the wave up of the institution's investments. Because otherwise, what they're going to do is they'll put some money in, they'll pull money out, take profits from the last cycle, right? You come here, you have the people who are going to be intuitive and say, okay, we're going to get in. But then they'll change the narrative on some of the press that they're putting out. It'll be positive information, right? And they'll come in and you'll get like a rally. They've already taken their position and you're getting like a rally, and then you're getting all this positive press, and they're pretty much baiting people to come in, and they'll put more money in too, and then it just takes off. And then meanwhile, you have retail investors buying in all the way up, right? And they pretty much pull the floor out from under you, and then the cycle repeats. I have the visuals on that and the catalysts and stuff like that in the chart. But if you go to my page and you go to my homepage, you'll see that video. It'll be the first video playing, and it's called We Need to Talk. And we go over why it's important to get in before the whales and before FOMO and stuff like that. It gives you the most opportunity for gains. Why can't Doge stand on its own two legs rather than follow in Bitcoin psychology? It's not a matter of standing on its own two legs. The same people that are manipulating Bitcoin are manipulating Doge, right? It's not that institutions are pulling money out of Doge, and then somehow magically retailers are reacting the exact same way with their favorite coins. I believe, and I'll probably never be able to prove this, but I believe that if your favorite crypto is in top 10, it is heavily invested in by institutions, and they're always going to mimic Bitcoin more closely. Bitcoin is their favorite, but they make a fortune in all of these other plays. So the top 10, I believe, in my opinion, that they are mostly owned and controlled by institutions, and that's why they mimic Bitcoin so much. They mimic Bitcoin because Bitcoin is their favorite. And you can think of Bitcoin as like the Coca-Cola of the crypto market, right? And then you have Pepsi and you have all this kind of stuff like that. But when you think of soda, or depending on where you're from, pop or whatever, you're going to think of Coca-Cola, right? That's what Bitcoin is to the crypto market. So Bitcoin is always going to be the catalyst that has the most money from institutions. Not to mention that it's priced out of range for most people, because you have people that chase dollar amounts, but at the end of the day, it's really about your percentage of return. Because let's say Bitcoin is, how much? Bitcoin is $48,808 right now, right? So almost 50,000. So in order for you to get 100%, Bitcoin is going to have to see roughly 6 figures. How much does Doge need to go up for you to get 100% right now? 30 cents. So are you going to wait? I mean, and I do believe we're going to have six-figure Bitcoin, but is it easier for Doge to go to 30 cents or for Bitcoin to go to 100,000? Right. So that's why we have these two odds that are playing against each other. We have the institutional side and we have the retail side, and they're doing this tug of war. But in reality, the institutions are on both sides. And we see this in, it's called hedging, but we see this in multiple different industries. Well, even especially in the stock market, they'll short something and have options so that basically they win either way. But that's pretty much just the nature of the game. They pretty much hedge themselves by taking multiple positions and betting on both sides. So I hope that makes sense, Richard. If Tesla starts accepting Doge, what's your estimate for Doge? I think it'll be one of the catalysts to kind of give credibility. So I think a lot of people are still, I think it still has that meme coin stigma. So I think that as we get more integration and utility, it'll build credibility. So as far as for a catalyst, like I don't think that one big thing is, I think the biggest catalyst is going to be the Doge one, in my opinion. But I don't think Tesla is like going to shoot it past $1 or something like that. I just think it's going to be kind of like that big seal of approval to allow other institutions to do business and show the support of the community. So I think that the most important things that we're going to be able to do for people that can't afford a Tesla, by all means, and this catalyst with AMC coming up, the biggest thing that we can do to gain utility and to turn these institutions like Tesla and stuff like that into whales by the support and have them hold these coins and pretty much remove them from the market is going to be to support the movement by making purchases in this coin. So when AMC comes out with accepting Dogecoin, we're going to have to be aggressive in making sure that we have that balance between, okay, I want to sit on the coins and hold them versus add utility and build that floor up, because the less of them that are on the market and the more of them that the institutions hold, the less likely they're going to be to dump them back into the market, and therefore will increase the overall price, because they're not going to be manipulating it like the whales are, because it's in their best interest to hold them, especially if they're currently doing business if they're currently doing transactions in Dogecoin. So I don't think that, I'm sorry, this is really long, but I don't think that that particular catalyst is going to like push it towards $1, but I do believe it's going to help. And it'll be pretty much one of the principles we need to launch and build ourselves, along with the integration with AMC. So I don't really have a price target for that just now, because I'll need to see pretty much how we react and how much money we start doing with AMC, because if the AMC movement is not supported heavily, then I'll know that Tesla is probably not going to be either. Because if people are saying we don't want to spend $10, excuse me, not 10, but $20 in Doge, I know it's unlikely that they're going to go spend 50K in Doge, right? So I'm going to have to gauge the community and the movement in the first quarter of next year, and I'll be able to give you a better answer for that. I'm sorry that was really long, but let's see. I didn't know better. Buying Doge after the Elon thing is where I really started following crypto. Yeah, no, that's fine. You live and you learn as far as for the cycles, and you'll be able to repeat your entries. The important thing, and the reason why I give you guys the cycles, the reason why I give you guys the percentages and the formulas that I use, is because I want you guys to use them and become proficient investors. So after this movement, and after you go into other plays and stuff like that, I want all of you to kind of take that with you and become proficient investors. So we all make mistakes. I've been down 5 figures before. Like, it's not in Dogecoin, but just in general. But we live and we learn, and you build up a thick skin. Man, the wolves were eating while we were sleeping in the AM. Happens like that a lot. That's a fact. What do I think? 70, 80,000 Bitcoin this year. I think that we're going to have another sell-off probably sometime within the next 12 months. And I have a target of, I think Bitcoin is going to touch 20K again before it's rally up to 6 figures. But as far as for right now, it's possible they can go to 70, 80, but I think that before the next rally is going to touch 20K. I think that we're going to see some let's get retail out of the market type of plays coming up. So, but we'll see. Honestly, this is an opportunity to catch the boat again. Facts. Let's see. Will Doge always follow BTC, or has it take place for Doge to move independently? I would say it'll always follow Doge, but technically speaking, institutions will have to lose interest in it. And at this point, I'm not saying I don't want to say it's a bad thing, but I don't know if institutions completely removed money out of Doge. I don't know how much of it we own. I do believe that the percentage amount of retailers that own Dogecoin is greater than any other coin. But because we don't have retail money, I don't know what Dogecoin actually looks like without institutions having an interest in it. So, and the fact that I believe that would happen if Dogecoin were to fall and stay out of the top 10, right? I believe that the top 10 are going to be the ones that follow Bitcoin the most. You'll get a reaction out of the others, but that pattern from like 1 through 10 is going to be almost identical. So I think that pretty much it would have to fall out of the top 10 and not have such a strong retail presence for institutions to lose interest in it, and then it won't track Bitcoin so closely. Let's see. Can you talk about Robinhood wallets and when it comes to prices again? I'm not sure what you mean by when it comes to prices again, but the Robinhood wallets, I know they're coming out supposedly in the first quarter of 2022. So I don't think that, I know a lot of people are not buying on Robinhood until they get wallets. And I know they made the most amount of money this past year, like from their credit transactions. But I don't believe that, because especially the coins that Robinhood has to offer, you can buy them other places. So I don't think that it's having a significant effect on the prices. Like people have millions of dollars that they want to add, but because of Robinhood, they're not, because you can buy them other places. So I don't think it's going to have a huge catalyst as far as for on the prices of any cryptos. Let's see here. It would definitely reach 70 in 2022. I like that. See, Doge is dead until it rockets up and shuts everyone up. People just don't have patience, and I understand the stress. Yeah, people, and that's the thing about it, because if you look at, that's the reason why I pull up like the Bitcoin chart and some of the other charts, you'll see that historically it's possible for these coins to go into what's called a crypto winter. Well, they go down and they stay down for a year. Like on average, it's usually like 11 months, 8 to 11 months, but it's possible for them to go down to for a year. And it's like, do you have the patience to wait a year or to hold for a year? Do you have that type of conviction? And the truth is, most of them don't, because A, they're over leveraged in, and B, they're hoping that it's going to have a 500% return by the end of the month. And then you'll have, these other coins that are going to come out, they have Dogecoin, and then you'll have Baby Rottweiler come out, and they'll be like, yeah, we're going to the moon. Yep, 1,000% return. We're going to put 8 zeros in front of it. Just buy this here and we're going to go. And then they go over there and they sell at a loss in Doge. They'll go over there, they'll lose money. And then cycles just repeat themselves. And then they'll say, okay, well, everything's dead. No, you're doing it wrong. Especially now, if you have a higher DCA than any of the numbers that we're seeing right now, average down. Aggressively average down. Historically, look at the charts. You would run probably, historically, Doge, from where we are now, let's say 15 cents. Historically, Doge runs 100% from where we are now. And I believe that's part of the reason that resistance level is around 30 cents, is because when you get down here and people bring down their average to 15 cents, they're going to be like, oh, we're at 100%. Or this is, they'll probably start selling around the 90% profit range. But they're like, I'm up 90%, 100%. I'm going to take profits. So, and that kind of gets that downward movement again, and we kind of consolidate around the 25 cents range. But yeah, it cycles, and you have to learn them and be comfortable when you're investing, so that you're not saying things like a crypto is dead, because I don't know how people expect something to have a continuous and endless amount of money injected. Like, all prices of everything fluctuates, even the currency themselves, how strong they are compared to another currency, they fluctuate. So I don't understand that segment, but it happens. Let's see. Had Doge for 2 years, bought most of my Doge more recently. I'm now at 28%, 28 cents average. Will soon need some money for other things before end of year. Definitely not where I want it to be now. So you have 28 cents average. Are you able to average down? Hold Doge, had Doge for 2 years, bought most of my Doge more recently. Okay, so you had it at a much lower price than you averaged up. Gotcha. Yeah, so if you're able to average down, because technically if you have enough money, you can average down and then take profits, or pretty much take money out without um, selling for a loss. And ideally, that's why I tell people to average down if your DCA is higher and we get these dips, because it gives you options, right? Options to increase your coin count, options to take money out in the event of an emergency. And that's one of the benefits of pretty much not going all in. So if you're able to average down, just do that, or even if whatever you can, so that you can bring your DCA down and you're taking less of a profit, less of a loss. So even if it's from like 28 to 20 cents, that's better than taking the loss of the 28 cents. So you have to do the math as far as with taxes and everything. I don't know how much money you have in, but if the math makes sense, then that should be an appropriate way to go. People need to learn to have patience. That's the problem with society today. Yeah. Yeah. Patience is often overlooked in the investment world. It is very crucial, and it plays a big role. Dogecoin just spiked to 18. And what do spikes mean? Then they go down immediately. You have like the flash crashes, and you'll have rallies that do that as well. Because you have triggers that people will be looking for to sell. So a lot of times it's just like algorithmic trading, so you have computers doing it as well. So as far as like those flashes, I would, unless you're trying to catch one of them going down, I wouldn't pay too much attention to them, because what you're looking for is stability and the market is taking a turn. So like watching it, you watch your charts by all means, but watching it that closely for flash crashes, it's not going to indicate um, pretty much like a movement in the sector or not. So because like the dip down to 16, we know we have resistance there, but it lasted like a few seconds, right? So that lets me know that they wanted to buy back in, or at least buy in like around that range, because we immediately bounced up and started trending sideways. Let's see. 43 minutes. Oh my God. Okay, so I'm gonna do a few more questions, and then let's see, which catalyst do you think will be buy the rumor, sell the news, SNL style? Um, I don't know. I guess if we got like another big one to, you have a Dragon Ball. I like that. I guess if we had a catalyst that was like big, I don't know, Dogecoin partnering with breast cancer or something, so something big coming up like that, that can be a way to capitalize off of that. But Doge did a phenomenal job this year of capitalizing off of the movements and the news that was coming out around it, and it did so with integrity, without anything like malicious. So I think that going forward with Doge One, AMC, Tesla, um, the potential bridge with Ethereum, stuff like that, I think that we have enough catalyst to kind of, as those things get closer and we start seeing people talk about them, I think that we'll have an opportunity. If you're looking to take profits around that time, I think you'll have an opportunity to, kind of like sell the news if people are buying in on the catalyst or the hopes that that's going to go up. What's your TA on Doge? I did it earlier. I didn't intend for this video to be so long, but I normally end up taking a lot of questions, and the videos kind of get longer. So What's my true opinion on Doge future price? It seems to me that almost impossible for a dollar. I don't know. All right, how do you figure it's impossible for a dollar? We're at around 130 billion coins. That would mean there's pretty much 130 billion market cap. The market is expanding rapidly. About 12 years, 1 trillion, 18 months, 2 trillion, about 9 months for us to go to 3 trillion. The market's expanding great. And as long as Doge is in the top 10, that dollar is, I don't know if to say guaranteed, but it's not as far-fetched as you think. I know the movement in the short term can make you think that it is, but it is not as far-fetched as you think. If you have a more specific reason, just let me know. Let's see. Oh God, I didn't realize I was this far behind in questions. Okay. I'm gonna take a few more. Let's see. If you have a question, you can always do them in the community section as well, because sometimes I'm looking at the charts here and flipping screens, so I'm not able to see them, and so I get a little behind. But let's see. You're calling for $2 Doge around the rocket launch. FOMO, then sell off. Yeah, the rocket launch is going to be international free press. So it is phenomenal. So that is one of the biggest catalysts that I see outside of AMC. It's going to be a big deal. Let's see if AMC short squeezes, I'm going to buy 1 million Doge at this level. Hey, trust me, there's a lot of people out there that are going to buy in at these levels just because it's sitting below its equilibrium at this point. Technically speaking, that indicates easy money, but we will see. But I always like believing in the charts. What happens if we lose our spot in rank? Great question. Um, as far as where it going down, I don't believe, because of the popularity of Dogecoin, I believe that something like 60% of all people that own crypto own Dogecoin. So I think that's one of the reasons it's in the top 10, because institutions, they're going to need for some point they need an interest from the public in order to make these algorithmic trading work. Otherwise, they're only trading and betting with themselves. So as long as the Dogecoin community is as large as it is, especially like people taking advantage of these dips and buying in, I think that it will pretty much have an interest in the community. But if we did lose our top 10 rank, it could result potentially in a loss of interest by, it depends on by how much. Like I'm not saying like I'm number 11 or something, but it depends on how far we fall. At some point we'll lose interest in at some point the institutions will lose interest in Dogecoin. So but as long as we're here now, the community is growing and we're still supporting the coin. I don't see that happening. So, but that is a result of us losing, or if we fall too far from grace. Let's see. David, how come you haven't spoken much about AMC the last few months? Most of the information is out there. This is because I was planning on doing an update video this weekend. Yeah, because right now nothing really has changed. They're pretty much just having all the time in the world that they are to manipulate and do their BS. So I am expecting some movement here because I actually do like the prices that I'm seeing now as far as for AMC going down. I like the things that Adam is doing to push the value up of AMC so that they can meet. And I like the volume that we're seeing as far as we're trickling down to nothing. Historically, that indicates that we are getting ready for a massive price movement. I'm still in AMC. I haven't changed my mind or anything like that. I just don't. I try to just put information out there that's not like repetitive, or I don't like making videos saying the same thing too much, unless it's just like really crucial. But for the most part, AMC, the play is pretty straightforward. But I was planning on, I probably will put a video out this weekend with like an update. But as far as for me personally, nothing has changed about AMC. Okay, so I've been here about 50 minutes. Just didn't want to make this video too long because I know a lot of people come here for like the TA and stuff like that, and they like the engagement. But an hour is a lot to have people watch. So if you guys like the video, please hit the like button so that this can get pushed out to so YouTube can say that this video has some form of value in it, and they'll push it out to other people who would benefit from this. And if you haven't yet, please consider subscribing to the channel. If you want to hear more from me, you can always change your mind later. So with that, I'll see you guys in the community section and with any of the other updates. And I'll let you guys know as far as when my next video is coming out this weekend. I appreciate all of you. Thank you. Until next time.